What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of SpeedSim. My name is Andre.
And I am E-House.
And today we have a very fun topic.
Yes, we do.
Today's topic is going to be how we got started into the world of Airsoft.
Yeah.
And do you want to start it off?
Yeah, sure.
All
well,
right.
I mean, the subject kind of came up because we have a Gun Gamers group chat, that we have on Facebook Messenger that's like 12 people that are all just constantly shooting stuff back and forth. It's completely horrible, and I don't recommend anyone ever look at it. But we were discussing, new people, how every year, new people come into the game. But I decided with Andre that might be a fun subject for a video, how the two of us got into it.
So how did you get into it?
Well, I always had an interest in guns growing up, but my household never had guns. I only got into firearms, actually, once I graduated college. So I always had an interest in guns, and then video games, obviously. What kid my age didn't like video games and still does? So then I found out about Airsoft when my brother brought home a crappy Airsoft pistol and a crappy Airsoft rifle because he and his friends started, backyard airsofting, shooting each other, no eye protection or anything. And I was like, man, these are cool. And so I got my first Airsoft gun was a Neon Fire G36C.
Wow.
You
went straight to the point, though.
Yeah, Neon Fire G36C was about $40.
Okay.
And came with a plastic mock suppressor that was like a Mark 23 style suppressor that shouldn't go on a rifle.
Spring?
No, low power electric. The battery.
The weird connectors?
Oh yeah, like the massive Tamiya connectors.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
I remember mine were like
huge Tamiya connecters on this thing, and had an included red dot that I thought was so cool. Even though it was like
function.
Hey, I mean it turned on, but other than that, it didn't do anything. And it was just a piece of garbage, and I had this thing for like a year and a half. This is when I was 13. I got this thing, and I had it until I was like 15. Then I went through a series of crappy guns until finally when I was I want to say I was 16 or 17, I got like an A&K M4S system, and that was my first decent gun, and that lasted me for a while. And then I got a G&G GR16 R4 Commando, and that was my first like high-end airsoft gun. That it was, the full metal body and nice out of the box, the G&Gs all included type bores, still do for the most part, for the full metals at least. And that was my first nice gun. And I got into actually field playing when I met Kyle, Gun Gamers Kyle. He ran, and when we can be bothered, still runs games out of Hunter's Creek in Western New York. And I got into playing more heavily when I was 18. I actually didn't start field playing really until I was 18. And then I got into going to Hunter's Creek games. I started going to other local fields. Kyle ended up recruiting me to his team, Lulsoft, that he started. He and I are the two remaining founding members, actually.
Prestigious.
Super prestigious. And we started going to Milsim events, together in around 2012. I think Lion Claw's Lightning Strike, the one they had in Buffalo, that was my first ever big Milsim event, and that kind of got me going into doing more of the Milsim type stuff. Then I just kept on going from there. I started making videos, actually really crappy, awful videos with my friends.
We all have that.
Yeah, and I actually have unlisted all of them because I'm just not proud of them. They're over on my personal channel that I use all the time for answering comments, but you'll never find them. I unlisted them. So
good luck.
Yeah, maybe you can find them if you look really hard. I hope not. Yeah, and that was how I started getting into videos, was doing the videos with my friends that we did that were all kind of crappy. Tyler and Jeff used to do the Shit Airsofters Say blog on Tumblr. Maybe anyone here remembers it. Bonus points if you do. Say so in the comments. And that was, we did a couple collaborations there. Then that kind of petered out with my personal YouTube thing because I couldn't stay motivated. And then I decided to do the thing with Ian. That was the E-House and Redbeard show that we did for a little while. And that just evolved into Gun Gamers. And now this is what you see.
This is what you get.
So that's kind of the full story. I mean, I left out the part where I was like really fat until 2 or 3 years ago, which actually kind of also drove it because I started getting more into fitness, and Airsoft is kind of a continuous feedback loop for that.
Used to be fat.
Oh yeah, you remember. You remember.
Yep.
Oh.
Very scary. Because I was so in love with Glock. And you're like, oh, fuck Glock. My hook.
Well, I hate Glocks because I hate finger grooves. And Glocks do not work. The finger grooves don't work.
You guys scared the crap out of me with saying that. I'm like, oh no.
A lot of people. This is funny because Garrett has said the same thing. Garrett said when he first met me, and this was after I'd lost all the weight, Garrett was like, man, I was super scared of you. I'm like, what?
Hey, you come out kind of scary.
I don't know. It's weird to me. I'm just a big, loud douchebag, but I'm a teddy bear if you actually get to know me. Maybe. We'll see. Okay. All right, so that's kind of my... Oh, and then event organizing. Yeah. I got into that with Kyle. Then now I do it here at River City. Yep. What about you?
All right. My story is a little more embarrassing, I guess. But
I love embarrassing stories. Please.
So my brother and I kind of were into the Nerf thing for a long time. You know, we wanted to shoot Nerf guns. And we were like, what is the most realistic Nerf guns that we could find? So we're scouring through the internet, and we found a website called Kapowie. And if you know the site...
I remember Kapowie!
If you know the Kapowie site, that's where we went to look for Nerf stuff. Because we found M16s, we found M60s, we found M4s, and they shot little plastic bullets with a rubber suction cup on the front, and you could shoot each other with those. That was the time when we were like really thought about buying them, and then we saw a page called Airsoft. We're like, well, what is Airsoft? And we clicked it, and sure enough, we're like, huh, maybe we should get these instead. And it just kind of tumbled. We bought a mystery box kind of thing. It wasn't advertised as a mystery box. It was
like one of the lots.
It was a lot, but it said it had some broken guns in it and two working guns. So we didn't know what we were gonna get, but at the time it didn't really matter. So we got an MP5 and we got some other gun that I can't quite remember. The MP5 used AA batteries.
Ooh yeah.
And it was broken, so it was fine. And then we got 2 James Bond mini, like, pea shooters, like, really, really tiny, and they barely shot through a sheet of toilet paper.
Listen, so, toilet paper is some tough stuff.
It did not shoot through it.
Yeah. No, it depends on the toilet paper, though. If you get the good stuff, like you use after a night at Chipotle, like you...
We had to use the toilet paper and ply it into 2 plies and stick it and shoot it through in order to go through. It was so bad. We're like, man, okay. So we went on eBay. We got ourselves some good spring pistols, which shot through cardboard.
Because now you were hooked.
And now I was hooked. Because now it was like, what, now we spent like $12 on these things.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now they shot and hit the drywall, we left a dent, and we got in trouble. Because there's dents all over the drywall. And then from there, we kept going back to the Kapowie page because that's all we knew.
Oh, yeah.
And
everyone had that retailer, the first one they came across, and they thought it was the only one.
And we bought a couple of Airsoft guns there. It was a shotgun. Now, it wasn't your traditional shotgun that you guys know today, which was the shell ones, and you pump them. These were still pumped, but it came with a sight, and you opened up the sight to pour the BBs in, but the sight worked, which is weird. And you just poured the BBs in, and you kept shooting. It was fantastic. And we only used 12s back then, because that's all you knew.
That's all everyone used.
And then we bought ourselves a couple of spring G36s, similar to what you had, with a fake suppressor, and it had a sight and everything. And when you put 12s in these, you could like dodge them like your freaking Matrix, like woo! It was fantastic, okay? We had the life of our time doing this because it was just us, it was my brother and I and our neighbors across the street, and we were playing with each other, and we weren't allowed to play without some sort of eye protection. Both parents were like, nope. We had to go to Dick's and buy those really weird face masks that you buy with it was like really skinny.
I know what you're talking about.
Rival masks.
They're basically goggles with like the little mouthpiece.
Yeah, it's just like the rivals that you get from the Nerf new blasters.
Yeah.
So similar to that is what we grabbed, and we started playing and shoot each other, and it went from summer all the way into the winter time, just continuously playing.
How old were you guys?
I was like 13. Yeah. I was 13. Patty was a little younger than me, so it was awesome. And then my brother okay, what is the next step we can do?
Oh boy.
Patrick bought himself a G3 from JG. That was his start. I bought myself a UTG M14 electric. That was back in the day when UTG even started making airsoft stuff.
Yeah.
And they fell off real quick. It didn't
they
last
did.
very long. And the reason why I got the M14 was our next door neighbor brought a bunch of friends over. They had Tokyo Maruis, they had classic armies, you know, they were decked out. And before I bought my gun, I was like, which gun should I buy? And they're like, well, you can't buy an M4 because everybody else has an M4. I'm like, but okay. So I wasn't allowed to buy the M4. Couldn't buy a G3. Couldn't buy a G36 because at that time, Patrick already bought himself another G30 or another gun, which was the G36 by JG. And I was left with the M14, super heavy gun. I did not enjoy it because the hop-up stopped working after 3 months. So I kept trying to dial it and
Nope, didn't work.
And back then, the hop-ups weren't in like where you pull back on the charging handle. They were underneath where the hop-up was, which is really weird. Yeah, it did not last very long.
So then, how'd you get into? So after that, where'd you go? Like, what happened then?
After that, we still kept playing, you know, back and forth with your M14s, and we went to a not so legit field, and we went over there, and this dude was like back when I was just starting, I was like, I was froze over like I seen a ghost because he showed up. He had this like OG M4. Like rails weren't a thing back then. It was OG M4 with the handguard. He had spray painted it like tan and green and all sorts of colors. Had a big ass red dot. So back then you had the charging handle with the red dot on top, and he had that.
Some people still run that for the classic
paint.
look.
He had face paint across his face. He was all get up, and we're like, oh crap. So then we kind of realized like, okay, I'm deep in this. I like this too much. So, and then, you know, we started the shop here at River City, and we slowly kind of dived into it, just kind of giving just a little bit of feel. And then we actually went to local fields within the surrounding area. And at that time, I had just surpassed my JG M4S system. I had just gotten a Diablo from SOCOM Gear, which is OEM by G&G. And then that's when we went out there and we actually played for real with people of equal skill level.
Yeah, and that's like the system shock.
And that was intense because I'm not going to name names of the field that I went to, but I had a horrible time. So it took me a second to figure out what I like and I didn't like. And I realized that is what I didn't like.
Yeah, you didn't like the micromanagement. No. You didn't like the very much overarching chain of command type of thing. Yeah. It wasn't your thing.
Not at all.
So that's kind of what started driving you to SpeedSoft then.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing at the time.
Well, it really wasn't until
until people started naming it, because at that time, you know, it was still like the 310 people. There was still a South Bay Airsoft, and they slowly started pushing out videos. And then that's how I kind of got into it, but there was no like name behind it. It was just that's how they played. And I was like, huh, I kind of enjoy this, and I did that, and I was like, holy crap, this is really awesome.
I honestly don't think I'd really heard of SpeedSoft that much until I met you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I met you back in like 2000. Was that 2014?
No, we're way earlier than that.
2013?
Like 2012.
No, that was when you started, but I don't think I met you then.
Oh. No.
Had I met you at that point?
Yeah, because we had started the shop in the basement, and you had came a year after that we started it.
Man.
It was 2012.
God, I feel old now.
It's a long time.
I feel old. But yeah, so that was really my introduction to SpeedSoft, because I'd been playing before then, but I'd never heard that.
No, it was never a name until like recently, like a couple years ago. This is recently now has a name. So I was like, okay, I guess this is what it is.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. But that's kind of my introduction, how I got into it.
Nice. All right, so I got a good one just to end off on here, because what is your funniest story that you can think of from early days?
Early days. I think it would have to be. I have to take myself all the way back to where I originally started with the Springers and the opposition force that I had against me at the time. And at that time, I still had that shotgun with the top loading scope thing. And I was shooting people. And we went, because it was wintertime at the time, and we went all the way back into the woods where it's usually really swampy and muddy and wet. We couldn't always go out there during like kind of between the spring and fall time because it got really wet.
Yeah.
And so in the wintertime, it froze over, so you could go really far out back there. And I remember in the wintertime, our next door neighbor friend had brought his P90. His
P90.
Tokyo Marui P90. And it was the high cycle rate one.
Ooh.
And he had foam filled it on the inside, so it was super silent, and he had stuck a suppressor on the front of it, so it was a little bit longer, and he put all the way an inner barrel through it. And myself and my brother, we still had our, somewhat decent guns. He had a Sniper 9, I had that shotgun, and my other two friends had, one of them had a Classic Army M16, and the other one had a JG MP5 back when they made those. And I remember distinctly when I was shooting him, all I hear was nothing. There was no motor. There was no nothing. And I just heard BBs fly through the air. And at that time, I ran around the tree, and I climbed a tree and tried to get a position on top of them. That didn't work.
No,
that was fantastic, though.
Yeah.
Because I had no guns. It was like... There's BBs coming out of like... Because he had foam filled it.
Yep.
It was super surprised.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
That was great. That was the funniest moment ever. I was like, oh my god, where are these BBs coming from? Because you can't hear them. What about you?
Funniest story. Oh man, there's so many. I mean, I feel like we could just have a stream devoted to funny stories. 2,000 subscribers is coming up. Maybe we will. Just nothing but funny stories on stream. But for the funny story now, it's one of the first times I played with Ian, Redbeard, who showed up on this channel and still shows up maybe every now and then. He's a ghost. But so Redbeard,
Ghost.
Yeah, Redbeard. We were playing. This was probably 6 years ago now, at least 6 or 7. And so we were playing at a local field, and they were doing a Springers and Pistols game. So it was kind of to wrap up the day. And I had a shotgun that was broken. Like, it had no pistol grip on it. It was a UTG shotgun with no pistol grip. So I was just holding the back of the receiver with my finger in the trigger guard and my hand on the forehead. And I was sneaking around, and I see Ian in this thicket.
Yeah.
And he's sneaking up on one of my teammates. And I come up behind him, and I'm like, I'm 320 pounds of Velociraptor right now. And I sneak up, and I slowly stand up out of the brush. He's like 5 feet from me. I just say, "Do you feel dead?" He looks back, and Ian's a good sport. And he just says, "I feel very dead." Puts on his dead rag. And then the way Ian describes it is the best. I wish he was here to tell this story. Because the way he tells it, at that point, I basically just sink back down into the brush and just disappear. Like, it's a perfect, like, if the
Navy SEAL style.
like this type of that type of movement. So it was, that story is always a fucking riot every time, because Ian loves telling it because he thinks it's fucking hilarious from his perspective. I think it's
I'm sure
great.
it was great for him.
It's like I said, 320 pound Velociraptor, just pudgy cheeks.
Yep. Big old plate carrier.
Oh man. All right. So I think that's a fun video.
Yeah. All right, guys. This has been another episode of SpeedSim. Once again, my name was Andre.
And I'm E-House.
And thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to pick up our t-shirts on Spreadshirt.
Yep. Or this Old Navy thermal. No. You can get that at Old Navy.
Who doesn't Old Navy anymore? All right, see ya.
Peace.
What?
Okay. Super Sniper 9.
Oh, right.
Before shell ejecting was a thing.
The Super 9! Hold on. Intermission here. Shout out to the Super 9. Everyone remembers the UHC Super 9.
Yeah. Almost everybody had it.
It's the shell ejector,
You had
rifle.
two ways of using it. You had the mag with the shells, but you also had
or you had the stick bag that went on the side. And we all had the one friend. Now, you must have had this one friend. We all had the one friend who, despite the fact that this thing was a piece of shit, could shoot amazingly with it.
That's Patrick.
Everyone had that one
That was
friend.
Patrick.
Comment below if you had that one friend.
That was Patrick. He was ungodly with that thing.